My name is Gorman, and in this episode of Semilla.VC, I sat down with Ana Ramos, co-founder and CEO of Glitzi, a company she co-created to provide at-home spa, beauty, and grooming services in Latin America. Prior to co-founding Glitzi, Ana worked at Vorwerk Ventures. In this episode of Semilla.VC, we discussed how Glitzi is reshaping the future for both female solopreneurs in Latin America and their entire families, and his experience in YCombinator with Glitzi, disintermediation risk in a B2C marketplace, and why this model works in Latin America, but not in the United States. We discuss all this and more in this episode of Semilla.VC.
Could you start by telling the audience a bit more about your work history up to and including your current role at Glitzi?
Yeah, for sure. So I studied communications and marketing. And after my bachelor's, I basically went into the marketing world, and I worked for some beauty companies in Latin America. One in Mexico. I actually worked in the US for the Latino market in this beauty brand. And then I spent a little bit of time in Brazil in working in marketing for this beauty company brand. And later on, I went and did an MBA in England. I actually won the Chevening Scholarship. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's basically a Fulbright, but for England. And I did an MBA. And that is when I realized about I discovered the VC world and also the entrepreneur, all the startup ecosystem. So after that, I joined a VC fund in Mexico. And later on, I started working for a company in Berlin. It was basically a corporate VC, which was very financially driven. They were not doing strategic investments. And this is where I actually did a lot of investments in consumer tech. And one of them was a company in the beauty and wellness space in Brazil. And this is when I realized, oh my God, the beauty and wellness services market is huge. It's 34 billion US dollars. And no one is disrupting this market. And customers and professionals are having to experience a very, very average, poor experience. So then is when I started Glitzi, and I actually quit my path to being a partner in this VC fund. I left everything, came back to Mexico, and put Glitzi. That's the very summarized of how I ended up creating Glitzi after my VC and marketing experience in the beauty space.
That's very exciting. So then I have to ask, what is Glitzi? And maybe because we have a consumer audience here, walk us through it on if we were to download Glitzi, what would that experience look like?
So basically, Glitzi is an app, a website, a platform where people like you and me, any customer, can book an at-home beauty and wellness service. And we do this by connecting you and the customers with our network of vetted and trained professionals. Something very interesting is that in order to create this marketplace, in order to provide these services, we had to create the whole network of professionals. And this is where it gets extremely interesting, because we had to create all the infrastructure for them to be able to break free from the salons and spas where they have very poor working conditions, and give them all the tools, loans, bookings, supplies, training, everything they need in order to become successful solo entrepreneurs by doing at-home services. So we see ourselves as a platform for customers and a platform for enabling and empowering beauty and wellness professionals in LATAM.
Amazing. So I download Glitzi right now. I have, and we'll discuss my experiences after. But say I download it now, what would I see? What sort of things could I do? And so they come to the house. Explain that to the people listening.
So you download the app. You choose what type of service you would like to receive at your house or your home, your office, or your hotel. And you can choose from massages, from any type of nail service, from manicure, pedicure, haircuts, hairdos, makeup services, everything related to the hair treatments too. And you basically put the address where you want the service, choose the time and the day that you want it, You pay online through credit card or PayPal, and then that's it. Vetted and trained professional of our network. It's gonna visit you wherever you chose the address to be, and give you the services that you chose, with everything that you need in order to live the experience of a good quality service in your home. So, for example, in terms of the massages, our professionals bring the entire tools. So they bring the mobile, the bed, they bring the music, they bring the aromatherapy, the aromatherapy. So you get experience of a spa in your house, conveniently delivered at the maybe your living room or your room, and you can get it from 6 a.m. till 10 p.m. every day of the year. We are open on Sundays too, not like salons and spas. We're open 365 days of the year.
I love it. I love it. And if someone goes to the Glitzi app or the website right now, they'll see that there's a premium option and then another option. Could you tell us a little bit more about the distinction between those two?
Yeah, so we started Glitzi with, I don't know if you know this, but different to the US, to Europe, in Latin America, the beauty and wellness services industry is not standardized, regulated. So anyone can be a professional, and anyone can be a professional with a licensing. So when we started Glitzi, we knew about this problem in the market, and we wanted to offer customers like you a standardized service, right? So all our professionals that join our marketplace, our platform, pass a process of selection and standardization. So that's how Glitzi was created or was born, with all our services standardized and all the protocols very regulated. It's basically like a licensing from our side. But we soon realized that we were accepting only 2% of the people that were applying to join Glitzi as a professional. And we thought, okay, we need to give good quality service to the clients, but there's a lot of people that want to be solo entrepreneurs. Why are we going to leave them outside? So we created a new type of service of category. We call it a basic service, in which people like you and customers can choose a lower price for this service. It's not standardized. It doesn't have the branding of Glitzi. It doesn't have our protocol, but we filter the professionals, so we know they have the skills. They pass our background checks, but they don't have the standard of Glitzi. These services do not have our warranty, do not have our standard, but they are good professionals. So it's basically two types of services. The standardized by Glitzi is the premium one, and the basic one is very capable professionals, but without the standard of Glitzi. That's the difference.
Amazing. And so what happens? So one of the things that, if someone comes with the massage bed, right?
Yeah.
Where do they walk? Do they Uber? Do they Didi? Does that money come out? Like, how does that work?
Super. I mean, it depends on the category. That's something very interesting about the business. You have the people that are doing massages. Normally, they come in Uber, Didi, or what we have seen is that most of our professionals are women, and their husbands or their partners are Uber or Didi drivers. So what we're seeing is a phenomenon that is very interesting. As our professionals earn 3 times more than what they would earn in a traditional salon or spa with flexible hours as soon as they join Glitzi, we're seeing that they are becoming the main earners of the family. And we're seeing that slowly, their husbands or their partners that were doing Didi or Uber, they were driving Didi or Uber, start like becoming their drivers, their private drivers. And in the meantime, while the professionals, our coaches, we call it coaches, are doing appointments in the house of the clients, their husbands or partners are doing trips around. So that's something very interesting that is happening. But that happens on the spot. Normally, the people that are doing nails and haircuts, they use public transport or they use models too. So it depends of the service, and we're also exploring the fact that right now in our platform we can provide loans through a white label solution. So slowly, our professionals are going to be able to get a loan in order to buy a motorcycle or pay part of a car. So that's the idea that we have behind. But so far, the professionals cover the transportation, basically.
You hinted a little bit at the product roadmap. I'd love to know kind of what Glitzi would look like in a couple of years. And then I guess one of my things is these Airbnbs here. They charge quite high cleaning fees. It would be nice if I could use Glitzi and then have someone come clean the house. Is that something you guys would ever do? Tell me.
Well, so we're not thinking about going onto the cleaning vertical, to be honest with you. There's still so much opportunity to grow in terms of the beauty and wellness industry, not only with the service, but also with products. So in terms of how we see that Glitzi can grow, not only in Mexico City, Querétaro, and Monterrey, that we have it right now, but also into all Latin America, we see like 3 verticals. First of all, okay, we need to grow geographically, right? Mexico and have Mexico City, Monterrey, Querétaro, and have the 6 more important cities in Mexico. That's geographical expansion. But the second vertical, or the second pillar of our growth, it's basically with other type of services, because right now we're only having spa, nails, and everything related to the hair and makeup. But our customers are asking us for waxing, for Botox, for lashes. So there's a lot of services that we haven't included. We right now have podiatry. That's been a huge service for us. It's growing like crazy. So there's still a lot of services that we can add to the platform, but we haven't. And the third one, but not least, what we're seeing is that once a customer like you try out Glitzi and sees the quality of our services, they see our professionals as beauty advisors in a way. So we have a lot of customers writing us in our customer support asking, where can I buy the product that my coach Glitzi use in my service? And right now we haven't gone into products, but what we see is that at some point our network of professionals can become a new distribution channel or a new promotion channel for beauty and product brands that would like to have a more closer relationship with the client. So that's where it would be interesting for us to explore the product beauty space.
Amazing. And so, okay, I know some of the audience members are screaming. They want to ask this question. I asked this at the dinner. I have to ask it. It pains me.
Which one?
But how do you solve disintermediation as a B2C marketplace?
Well, this is key. I mean, this is the question I get every time I talk with an investor. So this is one of the things we have been thinking about a lot of time. And our take is the following. We believe that this market, the most important people in this market is customers and the professionals. And we believe that as long as we have happy professionals, we will have loyal professionals and we will have happy customers. So that's why we built Glitzi first as a transactional platform, like a marketplace. But slowly we have moved into becoming this horizontal solution for all the professionals. So our aim is to be this tool that helps the professionals in order to become successful entrepreneurs rather than just give them clients. And once you do that, and professionals see that it's much better to book through the platform because they can get points in order to get recognition, but also they can get free training, or they can get access to specialized training, or they can make history of transactions so they can get a loan, or just simply they have all the support in terms of security when they're going and do at-home services. It's a no-brainer for them. So our vision is we will win the suppliers, we will win the professionals, we will have as very close partners the professionals, and these professionals are the ones that are going to say no when there's there's an attempt to take out the appointment through out the platform. I mean, obviously, the idea is that it will never be reduced until zero, but we have seen that approach. We have been able to minimize it and have a sustainable business basically.
And could you tell the audience a little bit more about the vetting for like this premium version, the vetting for the normal version, and then I think an interesting question is, well, like, what is the vetting for the customer at the end of the day?
Yeah, that's a good one. So we have a very strict like we call it onboarding process or selection process in Glitzi. So it starts with a review of the professional portfolio, like pictures, CV, where did they study, etc. So that's online. Second, we do a actual test. It can be face-to-face or it can be online. After the pandemic, we developed the online testing. So it's an actual test of several things, and we review your material too. And the third one is a background check. So we use a third party and we do background checks and psychometric exam. And the last one but not least is after they pass all these steps, they are basically in Glitzi, they receive a training for about our protocol. So they receive a protocol of how we do the services in Glitzi and a training to use our app. So that's the whole process for the premium services.
And then what would be the vetting for the customer?
The vetting for the customer. Well, that's a challenge. One of the things that we're working on is all our customers need to identify themselves. So in order to make an account with Glitzi and to order a service, I mean, you can make an account with us and you don't have to put your cell phone or your mobile number. But in order to order a service, you have to verify your phone number. So that way we make sure that there's no a person that has 10 accounts and doing fraud, right? That's one thing. Second, we're very strategic where we give the services. So instead of betting the client by himself or by herself, there's some areas in which we don't provide services because they are high risk for the professional. And those are the two main things that we're doing, but we still have a lot of work to do in terms of vetting the customer. I think the third one and most important that we always done it is that we have zero tolerance about bad behavior of our clients. We are most of our network of professionals is women. 95% of our professionals are women, and then 70% of our people working in Glitzi are women. So we have zero tolerance to any type of behavior that is not correct for our professionals or disrespectful. We vet the clients, and once we vet you from the platform, you cannot book again in that address and with that phone. And we still need to improve it, but it's a way that we have been vetting the customer so far. But I would say we have more risk on the customer side than on the professional side right now.
Interesting. Well, okay. Yeah. And so we've discussed, all the mechanics of the business. I want to talk about a little bit more of the startup mechanics. Could you tell us a little bit more about your fundraising and then, YCombinator, your experience getting in, your experience through it and everything between?
Yeah. So we bootstrapped for a long time. I actually I remember I was working on the farm in Berlin. I was working from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. And then I was working in Glitzi from 7 p.m. in Germany and then till 3 a.m. in Germany. Then Mexico was awake. So we bootstrapped a lot, for some time. Then when I quit and I came back to Mexico, we raised a small angel round. And then I think one of the virtues of Glitzi that allow us to be a very sustainable business is that we never raise that much money. We have raised in total 2.8 million, all of everything, and we have been using it very efficiently. The interesting thing is most of our investors are from the US, We have Good Water Capital, we have Y-Combinator, we have S21 Ventures, and we have a lot of key angel investors in the US and in Mexico. We have a couple of very experienced and successful founders in Latam. So that's how our cap table is made. And yeah, 2.8 million we've raised. We have been using it very efficiently. And about Y-Combinator, we got into Y-Combinator in 2021. After in 2020, we were growing like crazy, more than 20%, 30% month over month. So we got into Y-Combinator in 2021. And it was a great experience for us because it changed our vision of how we needed to do things in the business. Because before Y-Combinator, we were very focused on grow fast, grow fast, grow fast. And after Y-Combinator, we were focused on growing fast, but sustainably. So we were focused a lot in how to improve our cohorts, how to improve our retention, how to make our unit economics positive. And I think it played well because at the end of 2021, all the crisis of the VC came. So in a way, we were already like acting like we were in a crisis because we were focusing on unit economics and everything. So I think that was very, very good that we changed the strategy after Y-Combinator, and it really helps out. I would recommend 100% to apply to Y-Combinator and to do the Y-Combinator accelerator, to be honest with you.
Amazing. And so one of the interesting things you mentioned was like the husband, they drive the Uber to Edie, and then the wife will do the coach will do that service. Are there other kind of mechanics of this industry or this business that maybe someone on the outside wouldn't understand, but it is quite interesting when you explain it?
I think, besides that one, in terms of the professionals, I think it's something that really inspires me to wake up every day and fight against the odds and the challenges of being an entrepreneur is that when you look at our professionals, I mentioned it a little bit before, 95% of them are women. And actually most of the industry in the beauty and wellness services are women. And also another part is the LGBT community. But when you look at our professionals, most of them are women, and most of them have a family. And they have had to drop their professional career as a beauty and wellness professional when they have kids, because they cannot spend that much time in a salon or spa. They cannot just work from 9 to 7 from Monday to Saturday to barely make a living. So when they join Glitzi and they find us, they basically, it's super funny because sometimes when people need to, the mothers need to pick up their kids from school, like around 1 or 2 sometimes, we have, and we have a lot of appointments, we have an issue with availability. So because what we're seeing is our professionals go and drop the kids at school, then do appointments, then pick them up. So they basically can have a professional life, they can have economic independence and still be mothers and still have their private life, something that when they work in a salon and spa, they cannot do. So I think that's what really drives us as a team. We started Glitzi because it was a great opportunity to disrupt the beauty and wellness services industry, but knowing that we're changing the lives of the professionals and we're giving them a chance, an opportunity to actually be having their professional and personal life at the same time, it's very rewarding.
Amazing. Okay, so finally, I have to ask Peter Thiel's famous contrarian question with a uniquely Semilla.VC twist. What is one important truth about Latin America that very few people agree with you on?
What is a very important truth? Latin America. Oh man, that's a tough one. Yeah, I know what. And mostly US people, I would say. do not agree with me. Maybe Latin American people would agree, but US people, American people, or people that have not lived in Latin America might not agree. This model, the Glitzi model, well, let me rephrase it. There has been some attempts to build the Glitzi model in America and Europe, and it hasn't taken off. And many people will think the model, it's difficult, but the model is the problem. And what I'm super convinced is that this model works in developing countries. We have reference of this model in India being a huge company, urban company. It's a more than $1 billion company in India. In China, we have Herlia, again, more than $1 billion company in China with the same model in Glitzi. So the same models doesn't work in the same regions, and this model works in developing countries. We would never go to US or Europe. That is a no for us. So I don't know if I answer your question, but basically, yeah, I don't think many Americans will think that this model, it's difficult for US, but they don't realize that it's not the model, it's the market.
Wow. I think that you certainly did answer the question, and I'm excited for Glitzi to be a unicorn in itself in the coming years.
Awesome. Thank you for the question. It was very fun.
Amazing. Okay. Ana, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the Semilla.VC podcast today. I very much appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Okay.
Thank you for watching this episode of Semilla.VC. Make sure to like and subscribe wherever you view the podcast. Follow me on Twitter @Gorman Trip. And be sure to check out our newsletter, Dealflow LA, which can be found by going to dealflow.la.